Hello. Quick sound check. Just a thumbs up from someone on my team that you can hear me okay before I dive in. Good, thank you. All right, so let's begin. I'm Angela Cox, Vice President of External Affairs at Rasmussen Foundation, and welcome to the 2021 Distinguished Artist Announcement and Virtual Celebration. I'd like to first acknowledge that I join you today from the homelands of the Dena'ina people here in Anchorage. Now, let me go over some quick virtual housekeeping. The format of today's event means the use of individual cameras and mics will be limited, meaning we have some ability to control this on our end, but you can still take part. We fully encourage you to use the chat function, say hi, or tell us where you're Zooming from, or use the reaction buttons to clap or show some love. Also, feel free to use the Q&A feature for questions or comments. We will have a portion at the end of the program where you can ask questions live and or share a few words. Finally, we will be showing 2 short films, so if your camera is on during the films, it's often better to turn it off to improve streaming quality. So to kick off our program, I'd like to introduce University of Alaska Southeast Professor Lance Twitchell, who joins us from ʼunei in Juneau and will honor us with a song. Lance, can I hand it over to you?
Gonna cheese the cut Johan. Has to on ka aya ye cut yeti ya ak kwan. Son katlacht. Ernestine Hayes wasa ach tu ye ke yed laki ya yaki. Kanachoy sachan. Ya at shi aya. At kautul shi khatka ach yadi. Ach shukwa yadi. Khut atach aya we at shi. My name is ʼunei, and I'm coming to you from the land of the Kwan people here in Juneau, Alaska. I'm so happy for you, Ernestine Hayes. You're a writer of incredible power and importance. There's no one who's more deserving of a recognition for being one of the state's finest artists. I had the honor of working with you, trying to start little revolutions, trying to keep big revolutions going. You're a constant source of inspiration, and I'd like to share this song with you. I wrote it with my first child. I was thinking about the time that I was brought into the waters at Chilkoot. My uncles brought me into the water for strength, and they said to me, Gach Clay and Paul Jackson said to me, think of everything that you don't need anymore and leave it in the water. Lighten your load. Think of everything you want to become. When you come out of those icy waters, become it. I'm so happy for you. I'm wishing I'm wishing for great success and wealth for you. Gonna cheesh. Way yo, hey yo, way yo, hi na. Way yo, hey yo, way yo, hi na. Way yo, hi na. Way yo, hey yo. Skroot hini kade. Skroot hini kade. Oh, hey. Away, away. Hey, yo. Away, away. Hey, yo. Away, away. Hey, yo. Away, away. Hey, yo. Way, yo. Way, yo. Way, yo. Way, yo. Away, away. Hey, yo. Away, away. Hey, yo. Away, away. Hey, yo. Away, away. Hey, hey, yo, yo. Hey, hey, yo, yo. Cheese. Go ahead.
Gonna cheese.
Gunashtish, Professor Twitchell. I'd like to now introduce Rasmussen Foundation President and CEO, Diane Kaplan. Diane, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you, Angela. Welcome, everybody, and a special welcome to our Rasmussen Foundation board members who are here with us today. I'd like to introduce Angela Salazar, Curtis McQueen, Rebecca Bryce Henderson, and Adam Gibbons. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we honor our 2021 Distinguished Artist. We have a great program with special speakers and guests, and we're glad you're here to join us in this celebration. The Distinguished Artist Award honors a mature artist of recognized stature with decades of creative excellence and accomplishments in the arts with a single $40,000 award. Distinguished artists are masters in their craft, generous with their time and knowledge, and share a deep love for our state of Alaska. And finally, the moment you've been waiting for, please give a big round of applause for the 2021 Distinguished Artist, Ernestine Hayes. Ernestine Sankalas Hayes has received critical acclaim for writing that explores the complexities of Indigenous identity. Her work spans genres, poetry, fiction, children's literature, and creative nonfiction. For her book, Blonde Indian, an Alaska Native Memoir, she received the American Book Award in 2007. At the University of Alaska Southeast, she received an award for faculty excellence in research and creative activity before retiring 2 years ago as Professor Emerita of English. Recently, she shared her passion for writing with all Alaskans as Alaska State Writer Laureate. Please enjoy this short video of our 2021 Distinguished Artist, created by filmmaker Pat Race of Juneau, to learn a little bit more about Ernestine.
Fingit Enoch Sanga Lakt Yuchat Duasak Chak Na Ayakat Kagwantan Ayakat Gooch Hit Ayakat Ganak Tedi Datchan Hatsiti Yanwisha Shikakwan. I was born in the Juneau Indian Village at the end of the Second World War, when Alaska was still a territory. For the first several years of my life, I lived with my grandmother at the edge of the village while my mother was in and out of the hospital for tuberculosis. When I was 15, my mother and I moved to California, where I stayed for 25 long years, and I never came home, not one time. But not a day went by that I didn't long for home. Finally, when I turned 40, my life in shambles, homeless not for the first time, broke not for the last time, I said to myself, let me go home or let me die with my thoughts facing north. 2 years later, we made it all the way back home to Juneau, and I know I love it more than if I'd never left. I had always fancied that I could write. And the way to become a writer is to read. And I was the only child of a single mother. And she always had a book or a magazine in her hand. And because of that, I always had a book or a magazine in my hand. I read my way through the library, which is now the Juneau Douglas City Museum. And I had never finished high school. I dropped out before I finished 10th grade. But in 1995, when I turned 50, I said, let me go to college. So I took my GED and signed up, took a class on Native American literature, and I realized that's what I was writing. The open-ended structure, the reader-listener participation, different perspectives and points of view, and the calling of nature and place is so important. I was writing all that, and it turned out that that is Native literature. I was thinking about the forest one day, and it came to me. Our stories, our songs, our names, our history, our memories are not lost. All these riches are being kept for us by our aunties, our uncles, our grandparents, our relatives. Those namesakes who walk and dance wearing robes that make them seem like bears and wolves. Our loved ones. Those beings who live in the spoken forest. They are holding everything for us. When I was State Writer Laureate, the most meaningful interactions were when Native people talked to me after the reading and discussion and acknowledged that I had told their story. My first time speaking in front of a significant crowd and being recognized and introducing myself and having a stranger call back an answer from the audience showed me that any of my achievements, any awards, any recognition is not only mine. It belongs to Tlingit people. I had left in 1961, and ANCSA and the oil in Prudhoe Bay had hit in the 70s, and so everything was new. Not just the Egan Expressway, but all the buildings, so the mall, everything was new. But as I walked up Capitol Avenue towards Evergreen Bowl, the mountain made its presence strongly felt and strongly known, and I felt comforted and home when I was in the presence of the mountain. Sometimes I think about it, that everyone growing up in Juneau with the mountain right there lives with the mountain every day, right? Live with the presence of the mountain. So familiar to it, you don't even see it. You just feel it all the time. Yada at kafeh. I believe that the things that we learn about balance and about sharing and kinship and survival and dependence are not strictly indigenous values and knowledge. They are human values and human knowledge, because we are all human and we share all these human experiences of grief and love and excitement and fear, but also because here we are together. Here we are together. History and events and circumstances have put colonizers and colonized and oppressed and oppressor and all of us together here now, and our only future is a future together as humans.
Our hearts are singing, Ernestine. So wonderful to hear your words. And we're going to ask you to speak a little later in the program. But first, we have a special message from the first Native American United States Poet Laureate. She's a fellow writer, woman warrior, and Indigenous artist, Joy Harjo. Joy is the author of 9 books of poetry, 2 memoirs, and has recorded 6 albums.
Hinshe, Stone Go. I'm Joy Harjo. I'm a member of the Muskogee Creek Nation, a member of Ogeobova or Hickory Ground Ceremonial Ground, and I am speaking to you from Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Muskogee Creek Nation Reservation. And I am here with all of you to celebrate Ernestine Hayes and her amazing career. I wouldn't even call it career, calling, or her place, her accomplishments as a Tlingit writer, thinker, being, person, carrying so much from the ancestors. She's helped bring it into a place that this kind of wisdom can be shared. So I'm so happy to be here. And I think of my first connections with Tlingit literature, and I have to mention the name Nora Dowenhauer. She's the first person who brought me into that literary realm. And she's one of our ancestors, a beloved friend, a beloved mentor. And of course, when I think of the power of women and the power of women in literature, Nora comes to mind, you know, as part of that road of becoming. And it seems to me that in all of our Indigenous stories, or the ones I've at least encountered in my life, that they all, in one way or the other, have to do with balance, finding a balance of power, you know, within a community, a family, or a person. And there is no balance of power without the women. We are here in a world that is marked by male-female polarity and power. So our women's voices are absolutely necessary. And I count Ernestine Hayes as one of the best out there in here. I first met Ernestine Hayes through her memoir, Blonde Indian. And it struck me then, as it always does when I read her, I listen to her, is that there is a wisdom that when I read or hear her, my ears open to the voices of the old people. And they will always find their way through race, through false culture, through Indian school, they find their way, even if we think sometimes we're not enough, you know, as she was said in her memoir, you know, taken away from home, lighter hair. Those voices, they're wise. They know about the spirit of the people. They know who you are, and they speak through Ernestine. I got to hear her speak at NACF, at a Native Arts and Cultures Foundation artist convening. And again, I was struck, not only, I had read her words, her poetry, her fiction, her nonfiction, but then here she was standing before us, and it was that voice that, it was so, she spoke of her struggles and spoke of her life, but embodied in that, I could hear and almost see them standing around here, those voices that say, we were here before colonization. The teachings have everything to do with the health and the well-being of the people, and the people are all of us, including the animals and the mountains and the waters. And it's all there in Ernestine Hayes' work. She so deserves this award, and I just wish I could be there to congratulate in person with breath. And one day we will, next time, Ernestine Hayes. But congratulations. It's also congratulations to your community, to your people, and to that beautiful earth from which you write, from which you live. Maro, 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 maro. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joy Harjo. Those were beautiful words, and we welcome you back to Alaska. We know that you love our state, and we love you too. What a heartfelt message. And Ernestine, I wish that I was there too, because I'd love to give you a hug right now. But instead, I'm going to ask if I might turn the floor over to you to share a few comments, our participants.
Some of you might know that a house fire unhoused my family 3 years ago. And since then, circumstances have led to decisions more and more desperate as I've tried on my own to contract repair work that will allow our 4 generations to share living room, kitchen, dining room, while also enjoying private space, much as I imagine the original home built in 1906 was intended to do. It's been a long and challenging time, full of unexpected costs and difficult decisions as I drew on every personal resource to repair the house. The professional expert contractor we have now is renovating with safety the utmost goal, and he expects a move-in date by this July after 37 months of my growing desperation. I've now gone all in with all my savings, all my retirement, all my energy, and all the hope I could still muster. As you can imagine, I can't describe the relief that your generosity has brought to my worries as we prepare for the next stage with moving and replacing and restoring still to come. Goodness sheesh. This gift, much needed, so very much appreciated, means more than you can know. However, the difficulty of expressing my profound thanks for this generous gift becomes impossible when I try to express my overwhelming gratitude for what this honor represents to me personally. I have recently faced that my journey of marginalization began in my earliest years. The little girl I write about was excluded from both cultures in territorial Alaska. I had one friend in whose home I was welcome. Her name was Willa. This life pattern continued throughout my childhood, throughout my years in California, and throughout my life after I returned. I came to accept exclusion as a feature of my life path. However, this generosity, this recognition, this acceptance, this honor overwhelms me and has taught me that I am part of a community that embraces me. You have given me a gift that fulfills the deep need I've lived with since I was that marginalized little girl. I feel your acceptance. I feel accepted. Gonna cheese.
There's a word in my culture, it's called verklempt, and it means when you're feeling so emotional, you can barely speak, and that's how I feel. Thank you. To close off our program portion, we have Rasmussen Foundation board member Adam Gibbons to say a few words. Adam?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Ernestine Hayes, for sharing that with us. It was obviously incredibly powerful. As Diane said, my name is Adam Gibbons, and I'm a member of the Rasmussen family on my mother's side, and a member of the Rasmussen board. Taking a page from the tradition of Alaskan natives, and the grandson of Elmer Rasmussen and the great-grandson of Jenny Olson Rasmussen, the co-founders of the Rasmussen Foundation. I thought that since we are gathered here today to celebrate one of the most gifted storytellers of our time, I would try my hand at a story, if you would indulge me. It pales by comparison to one of Ernestine's stories, but I will try my best. Once, I was invited to a dinner hosted by an East Coast hedge fund manager who has made a fortune investing in the stock market. He is also one of the most active collectors of modern and contemporary art in the world. And he has amassed a collection of paintings and sculptures by masters such as Picasso, Van Gogh, Renoir, Andy Warhol, Jackson Pollock, Jasper Johns, and many others. His collection is estimated to be worth well over $1 billion. We ate dinner surrounded by his artwork, much of which I had actually seen before in art history books. I was awestruck by his immense collection, hidden in a lush backcountry estate surrounded by walls, alarms, and guards. A place that Ernestine might describe as inhabited by bluebirds or fairy tale princes and princesses that look like they were related to Dick and Jane. During dessert, our host agreed to answer a few questions from his guests, who were all investors and finance types like myself. Someone at a nearby table asked our host if he was worried about inflation, and if so, what his opinion was of gold as a hedge against inflation risk. It was an odd question for an investor known for his stock picking acumen, not for predicting macroeconomic trends like inflation, but I was interested in his answer. Our host replied gamely, well, if you think about what gold is meant to do for an investor, it is meant to be a long-term, stable hold of value, even during periods of inflation, and an uncorrelated diversifier in a portfolio of investments, something that you can see, touch, and transport, if not easily. If you look around at the art on my walls, I think you would agree that I have a lot of diversified investments that have held their value very well in inflationary environments. I think you would agree I have a lot of gold on my walls. Everyone in the room laughed at this clever joke by our host, but inwardly, I felt deflated. I felt like these special, unique works of art around us had been debased, like our room had missed entirely the meaning of these works of art. To this group and our laughter, a Picasso painting was just another commodity to be collected, hoarded, and possessed, nothing more. Fortunately, today we celebrate an artist whose words, despite all the money in the world, cannot be hoarded, possessed, or locked up in a prince's or princess's or Dick's or Jane's castle. Storytelling, if anything, is among the most democratic forms of art. An artist who shares her story, whether written or spoken aloud, does so with an infinite number of potential readers and listeners. Books are published to be shared and read by all. Stories are told around a dinner table or a fire, only to be retold and retold again. Stories also live and breathe. They are passed down and retold by new authors. They morph with time and they become new again. Who's the original author of the story of Raven and the Bentwood box of daylight? Who knows? Just as the stars and the moon and daylight were never meant to be locked up, kept in a box, the possession of one man, the hoarder of boxes, a story is meant to be shared with all. Now, as you all know, Ernestine is known for her modesty. She protests that her stories are not necessarily her own, rather that she's just a medium or an instrument for passing down the traditional stories of her people. Maybe she's so humble because she has experienced homelessness in more than one city. Maybe because she has seen her own house burned down. Maybe she understands better than anyone, except perhaps Raven, that possession of things is fleeting. In a 2016 interview with the Juneau Empire, she said, "I'm redefining treasure, and now when I say my treasure has been spent, I think I mean years," she said. "My years have been spent, and that's all the treasure we have in the end." Respectfully, I would offer to politely disagree with Ernestine Hayes. Yes, our years are our most precious treasure, but we in the audience, we who are your readers and listeners, Ernestine, have you. You are a living, breathing, storytelling treasure, an author, a poet, a professor, a little blonde granddaughter, and a grandmother. Your storytelling talent is a treasure. And at the Rasmussen Foundation, we believe in recognizing and celebrating that talent. Without artists who strip themselves bare and share their most personal perspectives with us through their art, life would be pretty bland indeed. Today, we honor you as you have honored us with your stories. We are so grateful that you have written down your personal journeys and perspectives. We are grateful for your challenging us, for causing us to question our values, for pushing us to know and consider our stories and our history. Today, we celebrate you as our treasured 2021 Distinguished Artist. To be clear, we could never possess you or your art. Rather, your words will possess us, your audience, for generations to come. Thank you, Ernestine, and congratulations.
Thank you. Gonna cheese.
Thank you so much, Adam. I wanted to mention too, we're also joined by Adam's brother, Jay, who has joined us as well today, another member of the Rasmussen Board. Thank you, Jay, for being here. That was so beautifully said. And now back to Angela.
Hello again. Okay, so we now have some time for questions and or comments. So please use the raise your hand feature or the chat function, and I will call on you. And let me pull up the participant list so I can see any raised hands. All right, Maria Williams. Can you hear me? Are you there?
Yes, I am here. Good old Sheesh. First of all, I want to thank the Rasmussen Foundation for always supporting artists, but in particular, I'm just so thrilled that Ernestine is getting recognized for her amazing contribution. I myself am a Tlingit and Indigenous, and I've followed Ernestine's footsteps in becoming a professor. I teach at the University of Alaska Anchorage, and I just want to say that she has been so supportive of all of the faculty and all of the Indigenous students that even though she's being recognized today for her writing, her beautiful books and poetry, her legacy also is in her teaching and her mentoring. And I'm a little emotional because, you know, she's paved the highway for me and so many others. So Bigunals Chish, and you deserve 10 more awards. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Rhonda McBride, can you hear me? Rhonda, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I didn't realize that we could be heard. I did type my question in the chat. It's been very inspiring and just lovely to hear Ernestine talk about this in her own words. But I was just wondering, can you tell us what comes with this honor? Will there be tours, other public engagements so that people can enjoy Ernestine and all her wisdom at a statewide level? Any stipends?
Sure. So along with the award, there's a $40,000 award. We also have a special web feature, and then we help promote her work, and that she's received this honor across many different platforms in hopes to make sure she gets the attention she deserves. And usually in pre-pandemic, we would do a big celebration all together where we could be together to hug and share breath. Hopefully we can do that later this fall.
Angela, Curtis McQueen had his hand up.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
You can. We lost you, Curtis.
Hey, Curtis.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, there you are.
Ernestine, my mom, Carol Paddock Jorgensen, we lost about 10 years ago, was very proud of you. She went back to school at the age of 65 while she was in DC, known as a blonde Tlingit, and told so many stories of growing up in the old Indian village on the Douglas Island Bridge, and too walked in both worlds. And so moved by you today. Thank you.
I'm just going to give it a moment. Curtis, will you let me know if you're done? Or
I am,
move
thank
on?
you. I am, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to move now to Mandy. Mandy, are you there?
Yes, this is Mandy and Anthony.
Hello, Ernestine.
Hello, you too.
So happy just to be a small part of this and hear the amazing honor that is bestowed upon Ernestine. And Adam told a very Tlingit-like story. he had a great arc to it and an amazing wrap up. So you have learned well, Adam. And the end just made me think of inspiration can be short in some of our people's lives. And this honor to me recognizes that Ernestine's inspiration will be with us for generations. Gunakshish.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to move on to Susan. Susan, are you there?
I just wanted to say that Ernestine, the word inspiration has come up quite a bit today. And I want to say that not only is your work an inspiration to those of us that also struggle with writing and getting our message out, but your life is an inspiration. And to me, that's the most important thing. Your life and your example and your overcoming of struggles is such a beautiful inspiration. And I'm so honored to be a little part of having, received something from an award from the Rasmussen Foundation in the past that was truly life-changing. But also more importantly, when you said what you said about being accepted, you are so, I don't know you personally, but I know you and I love you and I'm inspired by you. Gunachish.
Okay, I'm going to move on to Heather.
Hello, Ernestine. This is your friend Heather in Haynes. And I can't tell you how happy I am for you and how deserving you are of this award. And it was a surprise. I was invited and I'm like, wait, it's Ernestine? My Ernestine, our Ernestine? And I just wanted to thank you above all for your generosity, your wisdom, your inspiration. I learn something from you every time I'm near you or hear you or read you. I keep the Tao of Raven on my desk, and when I'm lost, I'll read something from it. And I also want to thank you for being my teacher at UAA in the MFA program. That was the first time I was actually around you. And you just have made such an impression on me, and I hope you know how well you are loved and respected and honored. So Ernestine, my heart is happy for you today and for us that we get to live in a place with you in it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think Faisal, is that how you pronounce your name? Are you there?
Faisal, yes. So this is Faisal Mohideen. I'm calling from the Chicago, Illinois area. And I've been referring to Ernestine as Miss Hayes, so I'm going to continue with that. But I teach at Northwestern University here. And a few weeks ago, we read Blonde Indian. And Ernestine was really, Miss Hayes was very, very kind and generous to visit. And I will say that, all my students and I, we are all very, very far from Alaska, but Blonde Indian, your work that we've read afterwards and before that, it's so powerful, so beautiful. You brought us close to us. Your generosity when you spent an hour and a half with us, you were incredible. We have not been able to stop talking about how amazing you are, how amazing your work is, and I'm just really honored to be here. And I don't know if they're here as part of this, but they wanted me to extend their congratulations and their gratitude and their admiration. And I've been in tears this entire time because I love you and I love your work. And Gunal Shish, I hope I'm saying that correctly, but thank you for also extending an invitation to all of us here.
Thank you. So I'm going to go to Carlos and then Kirsten next. So Carlos. Carlos, oh.
Hello.
Hello.
Greetings from Spain. I just want to apologize for my bad pronunciation in English and to say to Ernestine that I wish Spanish artists knew how to express their love for Spain as Ernestine does for her land.
Cheese. Thank you.
Thank
You are
Carlos.
very great.
All right, thank you. Kirsten, are you there?
I'm here. Hi, Grandma. I just wanted to say that it's so amazing to see you accepting this award and that it is truly powerful and inspiring to see all of the lives that you have touched through your writing and through your words, and that this is just a small recognition on all of the great things that you do, and that we all love you.
Thank you, Sugar Pie.
Thank you, Kirsten. Susan, is this you again? Or a different Susan? Are you there?
A different Susan.
Okay, just making sure. Go ahead. Susan, did you want to say a few words? No?
No, I've already spoken. Thank you.
Okay, I was just making sure. All right. Oh, here we have another. IBN Bailey.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Ernestine, and
Hi.
congratulations. This is an absolute pleasure, and to actually see all these people acknowledge you, and it warms my heart. It warms my soul. I have to say that you are one of the most complete human beings that I've ever had the pleasure of meeting in my life. And when you talked about having those feelings of being marginalized and being in between two worlds, I like to think that you are just ahead of everyone. Everyone is following behind you, and you're just so far ahead that sometimes that journey that you've taken seems lonely because we're just catching up. Thank you and congratulations.
So well said. Okay, I'm going to move on to Erin. I'm pushing buttons all over the place. Erin, are you there?
I am here. Ernestine, I just wanted to let you know that for the Writers Conference, the Kachemak Bay Writers Conference, the feedback from the students most often said that your closing address was something they would never, ever forget in their life. And I want to thank you for that. But more, I just want to thank you for everything you are. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any more comments or questions? Okay. Well, thank you all so much for being here to celebrate with us. And stay tuned for our announcement in a couple of months when we share the 2021 recipients of the Individual Artist Awards for Project Awards and Fellowships. Ernestine, congratulations. And Kuyanakpak, thank you. I don't know who agreed for me to MC to try and keep it together without crying. But we celebrate you, we honor you, and thank you for your contributions to the arts in Alaska and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Gonna cheese.
And thank you again, everyone.